Hello, everyone. Welcome to AUSTRAC's Enrollment for Accountants webinar conducted by MyTrack. Now, Giri will walk you through the enrollment process.
Thank you, Padmini. Hello again, everyone. Good afternoon to all joining from the East and those who's joining us from Western Australia and other parts. Good morning to you. Please note, this is just a general guidance. This does not include any legal advice. Specific applicability of the designated services is different to each businesses based on your practice. So thank you so much. So I'm starting now, and we've got some good numbers already in, and then others would join us as we move on. So just a quick introduction about MyTrack for those of you who are hearing us for the first time. So we are a end-to-end AML CTF compliance service provider, specifically focused for Tranche 2 businesses that includes accountants, real estate agents, and law firms. So we provide customized compliance on your risk assessment, AML program. Then we also provide employee training to your staff. We provide you access to customer onboarding, meeting the AML CTF requirements, and also how do you meet them on an ongoing basis. You have some obligations. You also have a few regulatory obligations with AUSTRAC, such as your annual compliance report. And then, if you collect cash, then report those transactions. And then, of course, you need to report some suspicious matters if you come across them. So all this is available without an enterprise level overhead. So how we do is we do assisted onboarding support. So you can get started with your journey in less than an hour. Our team or one of us will sit with you to take you through this. And this is how we provide all the obligations in one single platform. So just quickly letting you know that, accounting, not all your AML practice services are AML CTF. So you need to have that segregation, which are your AML CTF designated service. So for example, tax filing specifically will not come under AML CTF. So you need to have the distinction. So when you have that distinction, MyTrack helps you to support, that very clearly for you as an end-to-end AML platform. And lastly, just an introduction. So I have Padmini, who is the manager here on the call. So this is me. I'm the founder at MyTrack. I also founder at AML SureCheck, which is we do AML CTF audits for Tranche 1 reporting entities, such as non-financial institutions, pubs and clubs, and a lot more, mutuals and friendly societies. So my background is on financial crime. I was previously an auditor at Westpac Group in financial crime, more specifically when they had the AUSTRAC enrollment happening. I also teach at the University of Sydney Business School, a subject called International Financial Crime. I was the first author to publish a white paper at the IAA, Institute of Internal Auditors Australia, on AML CTF, and I also have trained auditors on AML CTF. Within Australia, in terms of my qualification, I have the ACAMS Advanced Audit Certification, and I'm also a professional member at the Institute of Internal Auditors. We don't have Madeline here today, but she's the expert advisor at MyTrack. She's previously a national practice leader at Grant Thornton and also audit partner at KPMG and EY. She's been a compliance officer previously for an APRA regulated entity, and she's also consulted and worked at APRA. So she's our expert advisor who's also, helping us. And she's, more importantly, she's an accountant herself. She's a chartered accountant, and all her experience is all what has helped us build MyTrack. All right. So without much ado, I move on to what we are all very interested for today. So the first and foremost thing is you need to go to what is known as AUSTRAC Online. So how do you go? You can Google search AUSTRAC Online or go to AUSTRAC and then do it. So it's not a straightforward www.austraconline or anything. It just comes with a combination what you do in Google. Or if you want to just see, you can scan the QR code, which I show you on the screen. So if you just scan it on your mobile or device, or whatever, you can also go there. That just takes you to that particular page because the URL is very large. So let's assume once you get into the AUSTRAC Online, the first step, what you need to do is you need to, create your own login and password. That is very, very important. So you can so what you do is you sign up to enroll a new business. So when you go to this page, you get this particular screen. Click on sign up to enroll a new business. So once you click on that, you move on to the next screen where they ask you to confirm certain things. So please enter the email address now. This email address will be the address with which you will log in and then enter all your details. So ideally, depending on your practice or your structure, this should be someone who would be more responsible for the AML-CTF obligations in the long run. So that could be the identified AML-CTF compliance officer or the practice manager or even the partner at the firm. So it could be any of you, but whoever owns responsibility, it could be better that they start because you're going to complete this on not ongoing basis. I mean, you need to have access to the AUSTRAC online as well because you will do most of your activities with AUSTRAC using AUSTRAC online. So put your email address, click on I'm not a robot, and then if you click on verify, what happens? The next step is you will receive an automated email from AUSTRAC to sign up a user account. So this should come to the email ID that you have mentioned. Just like any other platform, you need to verify your email address. So click on the verify button, or you can copy paste on this. Please note the link expires within after 15 minutes. So you probably need to keep some time when you're working on this so that you just don't do this randomly. Once you click on this, the next step, that is step 2 of this, is you need to set up a multi-factor authentication. So there are various options available. For ease, what I have shown you on the screen is to, once you enter your thing, then the setup is more easy, is to get a one-time password every time you log in. So I've used that here, for example. So you can set up, a OTP as a multi-factor authentication. Now, once you do that, and then you register, and then you verify your email, and then set up your MFA, then you enter your OTP that comes to you, then you'll be able to go to the AUSTRAC screen. And once you get that, so that's step 1 and step 2, and then we are having 13 more sections to fill. So that's totally about 15 steps that you need to do in order to get yourself enrolled. Now, very clearly, as accounting practices, the definition for you with AUSTRAC is enrollment. There's also another term that is probably used, is called as registration, which generally we use for a lot of these things. But with AUSTRAC, registration is for separate set of reporting entities such as digital currency exchanges, and then also remittance service providers. That's a separate process. So as accounting practice, what you are doing is basically enrollment, and it is not registration. I'm saying this clearly because sometimes people tend to use these words interchangeably. So it's better to know that. So you are enrolling with AUSTRAC as an accounting practice. Now, most importantly, once you start this process, you please ensure that you complete this within 14 days. Because after 14 days, if you have not done your, the enrollment with AUSTRAC, the information what you save on those forms get deleted. All right. So it's very important that, you can save as you move on. You can do some parts today, some parts tomorrow, but please ensure that start to finish, you do it within 14 days. All right. And of course, just like any other form, you get to see the summary, you can change and move on with things like that. So the first thing, what you probably, that after the introduction, so what you talk is more about your business in terms of where you operate. So you need to select the one that is applicable to your practice. So in most cases, you would probably carry out designated services through a permanent establishment in Australia. And if there are requirements different to you, then you need to do that. But in large cases, it will be number 1. And if you are in doubt, you can always click on the icon button that's there. That gives you more information throughout. So once you do that, the next question that comes in, as part of the same step, what you also need to do is whether you're going to be part of a reporting group or not. Now, what is the concept of reporting group? If more than one business join together and want to share their AML, CTF, and risk management processes and policy, they form a reporting group. Now, this is largely applicable, let's say, for real estate businesses or multi-practice, multi-located, multi-practice firms, which they probably want to maintain a uniform risk management, a centralized operation, then they do it. But if you are a single person practice, or you are an entity which doesn't have any affiliation, then you would answer no to this. The next one is very important. So you need to know what's the type of industry you are. So there are 2 points that you need to answer here. So the first is, what's your principal activity? So that would largely for accountants would come under business and professional services, because the rest of is all mostly existing reporting entities or property and real estate, which is one of the new. But for you, if you're just doing accounting, then you will click on business and professional services. And then the next subcategory that you need to choose is accountant. If that's what you do as your, or if that's where most of your work is, then you choose accountant there. So once this is done, then you move on to the next page. So the next step is very important, because this is where you are informing AUSTRAC as the designated services that you are offering. So in the previous step, you have informed AUSTRAC that you are an accounting practice or an accountant reporting entity, as they call. The next step is what designated services you offer. Now, that particular sheet has 3 parts. So the first one, they ask whether you provide virtual asset services. Now, if you are not providing virtual asset services, then you need to answer no. You cannot skip this. You have to answer. So that will be a no if you're not doing it. The next is remittance service. So the virtual assets remittance service is all what we call, they need registration. But in your case, I'm assuming that if you're an accounting practice, you don't need that. So you will answer that as no. And then you will move on to your other designated services. Now, this is very important, because you may know AUSTRAC is already listed out 8 items. So you will have one more here, 9, because it's the same form that even law firms who are also conveyancers will use. So that's why you have 9 of them here. But in accounting, you probably won't be doing conveyancing. So you have asset management, which is nothing but managing your client's money. Business structuring services is where you basically create companies or structures or trust, buying or selling or transferring a legal entity. Facilitating business equity and debt financing is arranging for your clients, facilitating or performing roles on behalf of your clients. If you do nominee shareholder services, then that's also included. And then, are you providing your registered office address as the principal or business address for your clients? Then that will be an S. Shelf company services is nothing but companies that do not have any trading or any transaction. Do you help transfer those companies is what is shelf service companies. For those of you subscribers of MyTrack who've already done this, you have done the risk assessment. You can go and see what's there in the risk assessment, then match that here. I'm taking another minute here. Why this is important is because after 12 months of the next year, when you are going to submit your annual compliance report to AUSTRAC, definitely AUSTRAC has that information to comply this. So there also you will be, answering what are the designated services you're providing. That's part of the ACR questionnaire. So ensure that what you answer as yes here is consistent, and then that gets mapped there. Let's say today you are only answering 4 of them, but then after 6 months, you happen to have added a new designated service, then it is very important that you go back and add that in AUSTRAC. So it's not a set and forget exercise. You need to constantly update if there is a change. All right, so that's very important. And then that will be checked with your annual compliance report as well. In terms of the date, in the same particular screen, the next one is you need to provide the date from which you start or you will start providing this service. So this will be the 1st of July for many of us who are doing this. You can add a date up to 3 years, by the way, AUSTRAC gives you, but technically, if you're already providing this, then you need to add date. So that will be the 1st of July, 2026. Moving on to the next screen, this is where we provide some additional information about your business. So basically, you need to provide your name. So let's say I am MyTrack. So what I would do is I'll put my legal name as MyTrack Pty Limited, and then I click on search. Then it will give all the names that are resembling MyTrack. So ABN, ACN, whatever it is. I click on that particular entity, which is mine, and then I just add it on the screen. So that's very simple and straightforward. Just check for the ABN or if you have ACN, check that as well. So you continue answering this. So if you have an ACN, if you're a PTY, you'll have an ACN. So you'll answer yes and then do it. In terms of the global legal entity identification number, that's largely for law firms. So if you are not, then you don't have to bother about it. Then do you have any registered or other names under which you will provide or will provide your designated services? So let's say you have another business name or any other name, something like that you want to add, you can check that and then answer that. In terms of this question, are you a member of any association that represents the interest of your industry, profession, or trade? Assuming everyone here on the call are accountants, so this could be your CANS, the Chartered Accountants Australia, New Zealand, or CPA Australia, or the Institute of Public Accountants. So you can mention that particular information here. The reason is, as accountants, I think AUSTRAC would have already sent you some emails, randomly coming in about AMLCT obligations. So you can definitely, map yourself to any of the industry body that you wish to. Moving on, the next thing would be about business structure. Okay. So again, are you a member of a corporate group? Are you a large corporate group entity? So you answer yes or no. Authorized deposit taking institution, that's largely, you need different approvals, so it may not be applicable. You may not be a registered financial sector entity. So in that case, no. If you're not a subsidiary of a foreign company or a foreign company, that's no. If you are in doubt, always you can click on the icon, the information icon here, and then get more clarity, but these are fairly straightforward. The next thing is you need to select what's your legal form. Are you an association, body, corporate is basically PTY, cooperative, corporation. So each one of them have different requirements, which we are going to see now. Now, in this particular screen, it's a little shrunk, apologies for that. But if you have, let's say, if you have chosen association as your structure of your business, then these are the details that you need to provide. So you basically provide the details of all individuals who are there. You need to provide their names, their date of birth. You need to give an identification document. What are the details, the residential address, and all those things you need to enter. If you are a body corporate, which probably mostly or most of you are likely to be, then what happens is you need to provide your principal place of business and then your registered address details. These are very important. And then you need to provide the name of the director, their date of birth, and then if you have a director identification number. I know there is a lot of things on that, but I will not comment on the purpose of how people are using that. But if you have a DIN, please provide that as well. And then the next question is the individual a beneficial owner of the applicant? So you may have a company where probably you are going to manage everything, but the question of beneficial ownership, if you click on that, what it means is that do you directly or indirectly hold more than 25%? So that's the person who is mentioned as a director. Do they own 25% or more is the response that you need to give. So if it is a yes, you answer that. If it is no, then keep answering whatever comes up there. So this is how it is. So if you are adding additional directors, please give that information as well. So ensure that you have all the information. If someone is filling up on behalf of your practice, please ensure you collect all this information and then you're able to do it, because you only have about 14 days where you can save this information. So it's important. If you're having another ultimate holding company, then you need to provide details of that as well, if it is not straightforward. So then the same process comes in. So you add the name, you put the name search, then it comes, and then it keeps asking the same set of questions. So you're very familiar with this as accountants, how the structures of the trust and those things happen. So you keep adding that till you finish and then provide that particular information. If it is a cooperative, then you're again providing individual details, identification, very similar to association. And then if you're a corporation, so the corporation, then you just provide the information about the address and other things. If you are a government body, just answer yes, and then where were you established, and then things like that. Now, if you are a partnership, then there are different types of partnership types again available. So you have partner type as association, body corporate, cooperative, individual, and trust. So if you choose partnership, then you need to go within that. What's your partner type? So let's say partner type is association. Then what happens is you need to start providing very similar to what I showed you. You need to provide information about the association, the details, who are all there. If it is a body corporate within partnership, then you will provide the ABN, ACN, and then you will keep adding those particular information. And then provide the details, add the director details, and then move on. If it is cooperative, then again, similar to an association, you will provide the individual names and other details or information. If you are a partnership type where it's again individual, then you provide the details of the individual there. That is very important. And then provide the residential details, and then what's the partner type, and move on from there. If it is a trust, then you provide the legal name of the trust. Then you provide if there is a ACN or details. So select the type of trust that it is, and then list the trustees, and then you keep adding those information. Okay, so if it is any of these, then you have more information to key in there. So sole trader, fairly straightforward again. So we will do it. And then if you are a trust, not a trust under, a partnership, but you're a standalone trust, then again, very similar to what it was there, you will provide that information. So keep providing that information as it asks. The next step is beneficial ownership. So you need to provide beneficial owners. So if you have previously added the beneficial owner in the business structure, then that information will come in here. Okay, so you can confirm that particular information. And if you think there are more people which you need to provide. So what it means is that, let's say there are two people holding 50% each, then you need to provide the information of both the beneficial owner. That's what is expected here. But it is possible that only one person is actively involved in the business or the practice. That doesn't matter, but you need to provide details of beneficial owners of the applicant. So whoever owns or controls more than 25% of the business, you need to provide all their information. Moving on, the next step would be, again, providing your business contact and other details. So you basically enter your address, your registered office address, your telephone number. So I'm not sure AUSTRAC is going to contact you, but you need to provide a phone number if you have one. Also the primary email address to contact the business. Now, it is possible that you may want to give a different email ID than the email ID that you are entering here. That is absolutely fine. It doesn't have to necessarily be the person who is logging into AUSTRAC Online and then doing it. You can give a different email ID if that is the the practice manager, or let's say the partner or the director, whatever structure or title you call internally, you can provide that person's email address here. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the person who is registered on AUSTRAC Online and entering that information. That is fine. Now, if you have a website, most of us have, so provide that particular information of your website, where you provide those information and things like that. Moving on, the next one is business operations. I would like your attention a little more here. We are almost coming to the end of this. So it's very important that you understand this and then confirm what's the size of your operation. So when they say FTE, that is, they are talking about full-time employment. So basically, do you have less than 5 or 5 to 15, 15 to 149? They've given a range. So choose whatever is that particular thing. Now, you may probably have contractors or casual and other things. That is fine. That is all more applicable in meeting your AML CTF obligations for training and other purpose. But here they are talking more about your full-time resource. This is basically to do some permutation combination for them on their own business calculation. Is your business basically, your practice basically an Australian resident? That's the next thing that you need to answer. The other part which next comes is your approximate annual turnover for the last financial year. So if you were pre-revenue and you answered that, they have asked a range. So are you up to $250,000, then from 250 to $1 million, and then million to 5, 5 to 50, and then 50 and above. So you need to answer that. So you can put an approximate ballpark there. Now, please remember the number of staff you have and then your approximate annual turnover. These are all questions that would also come in a way in your annual compliance report. So it can change. This can change. Obviously, let's say you had 4 staff today and then you answered between 1 and 4, but after 12 months, you added another staff, so you become 5. That doesn't matter. That is fine. But for your designated services, if you're changing something, it is better that you go and check. So you don't have to necessarily go back and update that your 4 staff became 5. So that's necessarily not the point here. And then were you eligible for a tax treatment and things like that? So you know all that better than any of us. So answer those particular information. Now, moving on to the next part, again, this is also a very critical piece of information, and this is where probably most of them still don't understand the full implications of it in some of the other sectors. So the first thing is, who will be your business's AML CTF compliance officer? It's very important. So if you have not decided so far, then you will not be able to complete the enrollment. So that's very important, that if you are a practice of 10, 15 people, first understand who will be your nominated AML CTF compliance officer. It's very important that the AML CTF compliance officer meets certain eligibility requirements, like they are a resident in Australia, they should be a fit and proper person, and so on and then so forth. Okay, couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention here. Now, you must appoint them within 28 days of providing a designated service. So basically, that's why you have until the 29th of July to go and do this, but you need to enter that particular information here. So you need to do that. And then if there is a change in the AML CTF compliance officer, then you have 14 days before which you will go and then update that information to AUSTRAC. So that is very important. So you provide the name, position, title, phone number, email, address, and other things. And then you are making a declaration. So please remember that you understand that any appointed compliance officer must meet the eligibility criteria, and I must notify. So technically, you're giving a legal declaration here. So it's not so simple. So please understand the risk of nominating the person who it is going to be, and then ensure that there is consistency in that particular information. Again, this is all question which AUSTRAC will also ask you as part of the compliance submission. If there was a change in compliance officer, did you report? Look, we are dealing with an intelligence agency. It's not just a regulator to give you approvals. They are intelligence agencies, so they have multiple data points to collect and match information. So we need to be very sure that we are consistent in what we are providing. That's the key thing. Moving on, the next one is about industry contribution levy. So that's probably applicable if it's more than $100 million, but otherwise there wouldn't be much. And then you also need to provide an information as to who will be your contact person for industry contact levy. Is that the compliance officer or someone else? And then you can see a summary of everything, and then you will finally give a declaration, and then you will be good to submit. Now, I think we're getting some questions, but I know we will get back to you separately on that. But just letting you know, if you have some more questions, so please feel free to book a 15 minutes obligation call with us. Or if you want to see demo of how MyTrack works, you can send us an email. So it's very simple, help@mytrack.com.au. If you want to know more about MyTrack, just scan the QR code or go to www.mytrack.com.au, and then you can get this. We already have subscribers all across Australia, and they have been onboarded on our platform, and they have started meeting their AML CTF. They've started their journey. We are doing one more session on the 1st of May at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any colleagues or you have friends in your industry or professional network, please feel free to inform them, and then they also get benefited. Now, in terms of any questions, we will come back to you separately, or you send us an email and then we will do it. Due to the paucity of time, we stop here. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon.